Welcome to Netometer. In this screencast, we will demonstrate how to allow relay for a specific IP address in Exchange Server 2007. The machine, which we will allow to relay through Exchange, has the IP address 192.168.1.120. And we will test whether relay is enabled for that IP address by telnetting on port 25 to the Exchange server. If Telnet client is not installed, which is the default configuration of Vista, you will get the following response. Let's go to Control Panel and turn on the Telnet client feature. Navigate to Programs and Features, and click on Turn Windows Features on or off. We want to turn on Telnet Client feature. Click OK, and be patient, because it might take a minute or more until the feature is configured. Let's try again to telnet on port 25 to our Exchange server, and send an email to an external recipient. We get an answer 220, which means that we can proceed and present ourselves with the hello command. Now we can provide the sender's email address using the mail from command. The application which is running on this host will send emails from accounting@netometer.com. Next, we will type the recipient's email. This is not a local email address, which means that Exchange will have to relay it to an external email server. We get a response 550, 5.7.1, unable to relay. That is correct. By default, anonymous relay is not allowed in Exchange server, and the accounting application will not be able to send emails to external addresses. In the next step, we will configure Exchange server to allow anonymous relay for this IP address. In the previous step, we confirmed that Exchange is not allowing anonymous relay from this host to external addresses. Effectively, this means that the application running on this machine will not be able to send emails to external addresses. Let's switch to Exchange server and configure it to allow anonymous relay for this host. We will use the Exchange Management Console to create a new Receive connector. In our demo, we have only one Exchange server in a typical Exchange server installation. Expand server configuration and click on Hub Transport. You can see the existing client and default Receive connectors. Now, we will create a new one. Right-click the server on which the connector is going to be created, and choose New Receive Connector. Type a friendly name, and make sure that you select Custom for the intended use for this Receive connector. By default, the connector is going to listen on all IP addresses configured on the server. We will delete the default settings and add only the local IP address of Exchange server, which is going to be used to accept emails from the machine running the accounting software. And we will keep the default port 25. The next setting is very important. You must delete the default settings, otherwise your server will become Open Relay. Click on the drop-down arrow next to Add, and choose IP address. Enter the IP address of the host which will be allowed anonymous relay through Exchange server. In the next page you will be able to review the settings of the connector before you click New to create it. As you can see, the wizard completed successfully. Right-click on the new connector which is listed in the Receive Connectors pane, and choose Properties. First, we will enable the Exchange server's permission group. Click on Permission Groups, and check the corresponding checkbox. The order in which you change the properties is important. Next, click on the Authentication tab, and check Externally Secured. The effective result of this change would be that the remote IP addresses configured in this connector will be considered completely trustworthy. Let's switch back to the remote host, which is running the accounting software, and test whether it can send messages to external recipients. We will use the same commands as before to establish a telnet session on port 25. And we will use the same sender and recipient addresses. As you can see, this time the recipient's address is accepted, and we are allowed to send a message. And the message is successfully queued for delivery. Type quit to end the session. Thank you for watching this screencast. We would appreciate your feedback.